let's hear.
All righty. Welcome, everybody, to the Small Business Workshop. My name is Maria. Today's topic is building loyal member communities. So, we're going to learn about membership offers. And our host today is Stephen. And just a reminder, if you do have any questions, put them on the chat, and I will go ahead and stop Stephen here and there, and he can go ahead and ask him the question. All right, Stephen, go ahead.
All right, that sounds good. And remember, you guys can always interrupt. You can always, if you got questions in the meantime, please bring them on. This is a workshop style format, so we want to keep it a little bit informal, but yeah, and as I get involved in here, I may start monologuing, and we don't want that. So anyway, we'll have hopefully some good participation. All right, so let's jump into it. So Maria, you'd mentioned that this is about membership mastery. And when I was talking with someone a little bit earlier, they had mentioned that this part of the software of, or just memberships in general, is not a really utilized aspect of what you can do with your business. And so the goal of today's workshop is to change that and to try to figure out ways that you may be able to incorporate this in to your particular business. So we'll get started here, and we'll talk about what is a membership area, okay? Because some people probably have that question of, all right, what exactly are we talking about here? So definition is pretty simple. It's an area where you can create courses, and that courses will take different formats. We'll talk a little bit about that. But it's where you're going to create a learning center of some kind, and then you can go ahead and create that, bundle it with other products. You can monetize it and make it so that it's a, source of revenue or even a recurring source of revenue, which is the ideal. So that's what a membership area is all about. Now, we're going to be talking specifically about a membership area that you can do courses in. But there are other memberships that are out there. Obviously, you could be the Jelly of the Month Club and be a member of something like that. There are other types of recurring revenue membership styles, or I guess platforms and things, but we're going to be talking more about the ones where you're offering courses and content as the primary medium. Okay. All right. So let's get into what types of businesses can benefit from this. And I'm sure you may have some types of businesses that are already in mind. But the idea here is, let's look at this. So we have fitness and wellness. And you think, why would that be a good, fit for memberships? Well, you have a gym membership, right? But beyond that, how can you utilize your website, or how can you utilize your digital presence in order to give additional offerings? So you could actually do like personal training sessions, and you could put them on, like a course series that someone can access online. Obviously, Peloton is doing a fantastic job of their, virtual trainers that are on there. And anyway, so fitness and wellness is a great industry. Education, this is probably the one that, comes to mind first when people are talking about memberships, because this is the best suited medium in order to, I should say, industry, in order to practice your online skills. All right. So you can have tutoring, you can have other things that take place on a memberships platform. Media and publishing. So this is one that you can have a repository to put a bunch of digital information into. So if you're part of that media and publishing industry, that may be a good one. Healthcare and wellness. So this is something where you have telemedicine services and that sort of thing, but just maybe as an example, if you're a chiropractor and you have a certain program that you have people on, well, you can go ahead and offer in your program maybe a stretching course that says this is how you do stretches for this type of an injury or for this type of, a remediation of an injury. So that's one place. Software and software as a service. So this in our space, as far as Lojo marketing, that digital space, this is utilized a lot. There's a lot of different companies out there that will do trainings on softwares. And so you'll see in some of the examples that I'll be showing, and when we dive into the system, how this can be utilized in, this particular industry that Lojo is a part of. And then the one that is more broad is professional services. So this is where you need to get creative and figure out, okay, if I'm this type of a business, let's say that I'm a landscaper or something like that. If you're a professional service and you're offering, landscaping, is there a way that you can utilize a membership aspect to it? And I would argue that yes, there's probably a way that you can come up with an offering that you can put in a course type material, and you can offer some education to your current customers. So maybe it's you do a lawn service and things like that, and now you have a course that tells you this is how you take care of it in between visits, or this is, the best time in order to plant these particular trees or these particular things. And you can have that in more of a video training style format. So it can work for almost all industries as long as you get creative with it and come up with something that that should fit. All right. So I feel like been talking a little bit here, but I'd like to find out, are there any business examples or industries that you guys have in mind that, maybe aren't on the list? Is there anything that, comes up where you're like, hey, that could work for this industry or that works for my industry? Okay. If you do, put them in the chat and we can call them out as some of them come in. But I'll just share with you two brief examples. All right. So we have a public speaker that we've worked with for years. And a while ago, this is several years ago, they were looking at, okay, we're starting to wind down. We're not retirement ready yet, but don't want to do as much travel. So he ended up spending a ton of time and energy and quite a few dollars in order to develop this online training course. And now he has that as an asset. And it's something that he can have perpetually to where he doesn't have to be there in person. He can sell, maybe it's just a keynote speaking event, and then he can sign them up on a course that goes through, this particular training aspect. So that's one example of how these memberships areas can really take place that we've seen in our business and dealing with our customers. Another one is we have these guys sell industrial valves. And so you might think, well, how on earth would an industrial valve company, utilize this this type of technology? Well, they've put together training courses that are on specific valves that they can send to their distribution and to their sales representatives so that they can be trained up. And they can utilize a system like this in order to train them up. They can do quizzes and other things in order to ensure that they've, gotten the product information and take it from there. So once again, lots of different industries, areas that this could be applicable to. All right. So we're going to jump into the kind of the elements of the membership area. And so this is where I'll share out some of these on my screen. And the first one we're going to talk about is courses and products. So what is a course or what is a product? And in essence, it's the content that you're going to go ahead and offer to your customer base. All right. And that content can come in a lot of different mediums. So I put down here, 4 of them, but I'm sure that there's others that, you know, that you guys have seen. But I'll put it out there. What types of memberships have maybe you been a part of or that you have seen that are useful in the past? Okay. Looks like we got a couple chats coming in here. All right. So fitness for DIY. Okay. Some how-tos. Okay. For sure. I mean, YouTube is huge for doing how-tos, but wouldn't it be nice if it was personalized to a particular person or, a particular situation? And that's something that could definitely be modified. I mean, I've seen a lot of people that have signed up for the mastermind courses, you know, and they want to learn how to act or they want to learn how to, draw or do whatever. So, yeah, lots of different things. Okay. All right. So keep those suggestions coming in. And this is the other thing that we need to touch on when we talk about types of courses or products. So these can either be paid or they can be free, and it can either be a one-time, revenue source, or it can be a recurring revenue source. So that's something that you're going to want to think about and pay attention to as we're going through this of, well, what type of application could this have in my business? And how would I go ahead and monetize that? Or how would I make that as like a value add? And like the example that I gave with the chiropractor, okay? You may not say that I'm going to go ahead and charge for these, specific stretching, sessions or, these instructions on how you do proper stretching. You may not want to charge for that. That just may be a value add to your current service. And it's something that they can only get from you. And that's the big difference is with a membership area, they're going into your platform and they're immersed in your world versus I'm going out to YouTube or, I'm going to look at a reel or film on Instagram or Facebook. So you're keeping them within your ecosystem and you are bringing that value to them. So that's just, just as good sometimes as when you go ahead and you charge for things. All right. So let's get in there again and just one second. All right. So let's jump into Growth Genie 360. So Growth Genie 360 does have the ability for you to create your own memberships and your own courses. And these are just a couple examples of courses that we're just starting to create and produce. And they can vary. So like these weekly workshops, this could be a good place this is a good place to put those repository of those workshops. We have how-to training series. And this is like, like Maria, you just did one recently that we put in here. And what was that on? It was on like a phone, like email and phone or that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I've done a few different ones, so.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I think the one that I'm thinking of is just something simple, like you're constantly getting questions from clients when they sign up and they're doing their hosting and their email, like, well, how do I get that on my iPhone?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, so it was the how to install our email on your iPhone, on your Mac Mail, and on your iPad type situation. Yeah.
So that's a perfect example of something that you can put in there, and we could just as easily put that on YouTube, right? We could put that out there in lots of other channels, but having it in a membership area once again, that brings value to Lojo, where Lojo is now teaching you how to do that. And if you, forget about it, like, oh, how did I do that again? Or I got my new phone, that just came and I got the new version and now I need to do it again. Well, if that's the case, then it's really simple in order to go back to that membership area versus now I got to search for it somewhere or I got to go through my emails. Okay. So that's just maybe an example of how you can utilize that. So this one over here is the Growth Genie 360 demo, and it's more of training courses, but that's kind of the one that I'll jump into and show you a little bit about how this works. So this is where you go to the membership section over here on the left-hand side. And when you're in here, you're in courses and you go to products. So products and courses are essentially the same thing as far as terminology. And I'll click into here. I'll click into the Growth Genie one and I can kind of show you what's going on. So this is the overall structure of your product or your course material. And in this case, we have an overview and, we can either preview this as what it would look like to the customer, or you can go ahead and get in there and edit it. But the idea is that's loading. I'll jump back over here and can just show you some other things. Like we have a case study of, hey, this is how a psychologist used the program, used Growth Genie 360. And then we go into fundamentals like contacts, how to add contacts, the universal inbox, how does that work? And we can have video trainings on all of these. So I'm going to jump in here. So this is the example of like the intro video. They go ahead and can play that video and go from there. Now I will show you this. So like, let's say this is one of the functions or features that that you can do. Is it if I want to click on this case study, it says, oh, that's been locked. So what you can do is you can set up your programs or your courses so that it has to be done in a certain order. And in this case, it's saying, well, you gotta watch that intro video first. And until I come over here and continue on in the course. Okay. So we'll just try that real quick, mark that as complete, and then should be able to come over here and then yep, I'm able to access. So maybe I'll put it out there. Or is this something that value where you're able to say, hey, I can set up a course and I can kind of do it in a manner that makes sense to my business?
We got a few yeses, and this can absolutely work for my business.
Okay, good deal. All right. So let's talk about a little bit more of the functionality and how things work and that sort of thing. All right. So this is where I'm going to jump back into the products. All right. Let me go back over here. And we're now going to talk about offers. Okay. So when we see the terminology of offers in Growth Genie 360, that in essence is the gateway of how your user will access your content. So for example, if you have, let's say you have the website, lojomarketing.com, that's your business. Okay. You can access the this information through lojomarketing.com, where you can send them to this memberships area, Or you can actually have a landing page that's dedicated for that purpose. And that's what your offer is that's where they go and they sign up for things. And they would sign up for that course, put in their email, phone number, and you can customize those options according to your needs. But that's where they would put in the information. And if it's a paid course, that's where they would pay. Okay. This, as a note, this can also be done in other pages that you create within Growth Genie 360. So if you create a funnel page, you could have that as part of your funnel page. So let's say somebody, signs up for one of our marketing services. Well, it's real easy in order to add on this as a funnel page and put this as an offer of something that they can sign up for as well. Okay. All right. So let's jump back in here and I'll show you the offers section of what it looks like in the system. And so each one of these courses that we've created should have an offer section. And I purposely deleted one of them so that we can show you real quick. This is how we make it. So I deleted the how-to. So, how-to from Lojo, whatever we want to call it. All right. And now we have to go in here and we select which one that is. And this is the Lojo training. And then we're going to decide, is that a free offer? Is that a recurring offer? Is that a one-time offer? What is it? So if we wanted to have it be recurring to where they're paying a few dollars a month, whatever that is. So let's just say it's $10 and we want it to be done, on a monthly basis. Okay. And you can see here we have options to be able to do that. We want to offer a trial period, we can. So we could say, hey, this has got a 30-day trial on it. And then number of payments is just one, is where we would keep that. The setup fee. So that's another thing where if there is a bunch of front-loaded work, then you can go ahead and offer a setup fee that goes with that. And then if this is a free course, this price text override, this will put in there whatever you want it to be. So even if it is $10, it'll show up as $10. Or if we put in here something different, it will take away the $10 sign or the dollar sign and the 10, and then we'll put in that text. Okay. So we're going to just leave it this way. We're going to go ahead and create that. And then you can see kind of what that will look like. And it should create here in just a second. All right. Okay, so once it's loaded up, this is my offer, right? And now I have a little bit of work to do to figure out how I want this offer to operate. Right now it's set at $10 and it is a recurring revenue item that's going to happen every month. And so I can go ahead and I can edit those things. And then over here in this menu, I can make this an upsell. And there's two types of upsells that can happen. So let's say that I have somebody that's coming over to my site and they're going to do the Growth Genie 360 training. Okay. And they've signed up or they want to sign up for that. Well, when they go ahead and come into the Growth Genie 360 training, they can either have a one-click upsell, which means that they'll be presented with that initial offer after they make it says purchase, but it's after they sign up for Growth Genie 360 training. Then it will pop up with an additional offer that says, hey, do you want to do the how-to series from Lojo? And they can go ahead and opt in at that time. Or the other one, and you can actually do both of these. You can only have one click upsell that happens at the beginning, but you can do both of them. This is the in-app upsell. So this is when they're in there looking at their courses, and I'll show you what this looks like here in just a second. But when they're in there viewing the courses, this will have a lock symbol on it and says, well, if you want to access that, then you click on this and then it will take them to the sign up page. So we can do upsells and cross sells and that sort of thing as part of it. And I'll show you just two examples of how that works. One of the in-app ones, and then another more creative way where you can actually do it at the end of your, or you can do it during your training course. Okay. All right. So I think this is an important area to understand, because if the idea is to monetize it, well, we need to make sure that, you know, we're covering all those parameters and that it all makes sense. Okay.
Just a quick question that came up. Would I set this up on my own, or does Growth Genie 360 help during setup?
So it depends on what you've signed up for. So anybody that signs up with Growth Genie 360, you're going to get an immediate 2 hours worth of training. The first hour of training is more technical, where they're going to set up some of the back end functions of how this works. And then for the second hour, they can kind of customize it to what it is that you want. So if you have specific questions on this memberships area, they can dive in depth and say, oh, okay, this is how you go ahead and you set that up. So yeah, that's an option. Or as a marketing company, that's the services that we offer as well, where we can do some hand holding and, you know, we can walk you through that process of setting it up. Or we have other clients that they just pay for us to be able to go ahead and set it up for them. And they just give us direction on, this is what I'd like it to be. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at some of these offers. All right. So we got well, actually, I'll jump over here. All right. So I'm gonna preview. I'm gonna go ahead and preview this. And this will show you what it looks like on the customer's end of, or your client, when they come into the system. This is what they're going to be able to view. Is they're going to see that this is the training course, you know, so on and so forth. And they're going to be able to work their way through that of, all right, I'm going to go from, you know, one fundamental to the next of learning how to set up contacts and work my opportunities and so forth. In this case, I've set up two different things that I just want to point out real quick. You can actually have homework assignments that are created in the system, or assignments is what they call them. And you can put in instructions on, this is what the assignment is. In this case, I'm saying for Growth Genie 360, it's please create a workflow, explain how it works, take a screenshot or a short video and upload that for grading. So they can put in their answer, they can upload that, and then go ahead and submit it. So that's one way that you can have more interaction with your customer base, is through doing those. Or you can actually do assessments or quizzes. And here's an example. This is a knowledge quiz, and you can go ahead and create this to be as in-depth as you would like, with a bunch of different multiple choice questions. We can put in videos in this section. You could have images, you could have other things where you're asking them to just, what is this picture of? And they have to select from multiple choice or that sort of thing. And then you can either have these as ungraded, or you can have them as graded options. So a lot of neat features in order to, once again, interact and engage with that client. And then here in the course wrap up section, this is where I have put in an upsell. So for resources and additional, help, or here's a little video that's, me in casual wear, see, just saying, hey, if you need some more help and training, schedule one of these one-on-one training sessions. They can click on that, and then they go through the process of, all right, well, I'm going to set up a one-on-one training session with Stephen. And, he can walk me through that. And I put on here a little bit of information where it's an hour increment. Once again, here's another option. I can put a coupon code in here. So if I'm saying, hey, I don't want to charge for that, maybe I want to give it away for free, then I can, in Growth Genie 360 in the payment section, you go over to coupons and I can create a coupon code for this. And I can put that in and you can discount it. So anyway, this is one of the ways that you can have upsells within the system. And then let me try to find it here real quick. If I go back to home. All right. I'm going to go to courses. This is what I was looking for. All right. So in here, this is that one in-app upsell that I was talking about, where you can have the one-on-one training session, and then when they click on that, they can go ahead and go through and purchase it. So anyway, hopefully that gives you a good overview of what you can do within the memberships area. One thing that we didn't really touch on that is part of the memberships area workshop just on this, but it's the communities aspect. So communities are really groups of individuals that you can set up that are for a specific purpose. So this is almost like a Slack channel or a community forum or that sort of thing. And this is an example of just a brief one that I set up real quick, where it's like Growth Genie, explorers. And you can create different channels for different topics. So if you have things like on how do I improve my sales, then all the things that are oriented towards sales, they can be in that particular sales channel. So you set it up, like I said, very similar to like if you're familiar with Slack, how that's set up. And this is also something that can be monetized. So you can actually have it to where your groups, people would pay money in order to be part of that particular group. So if you have maybe a mastermind session that you're putting together, maybe as part of that, you have a community. And once again, you can offer a discount on, well, you get the community for free, but it's normally charged for X dollars a month. So you can kind of see how you can really grow that interaction with your customer base and how you can grow the business overall with these communities and with these, memberships. So any questions or things that have come up, Maria? Or maybe I just did a super fantastic job and
Uh,
covered everything. So
not questions. Let me check.
okay. Yeah, so I just put communities in as kind of a side note, but I'll just jump in here real quick then to homework. So I think that this is key to a small business's survival, is for them to figure out as many ways as possible to create recurring revenue sources. Because if you have something that is recurring, you don't have to, as they say, go out and, you don't have to go hunting every day, kill the meat and bring it home. You can actually have some things that are growing in the garden, as it were. So look for ways in order to add recurring revenue. Like I said in the beginning, apply this to your business. try to see what is it that I could offer that would be either a value add or that I could actually charge dollars for that would be part of my my business. And yeah, I just the one that comes to mind is I was actually talking to a hardware store and they had a website and they were known throughout the area as these guys are the ones that you go to if you have any questions about grass and lawn care. And they were actually talking about, wouldn't it be great if we could have, you know, like a lawn care maintenance schedule and we could put something together and, you know, do some trainings on this is how you use this fertilizer and this is, you know, all of that. And they were like, because we have to spend a lot of time in order to, you know, create that information and then be able to disseminate it or regurgitate it, I guess, to each customer or landscaper that comes in. So anyway, it's just things like that where you think a little bit outside the box and try to figure out what works best. So, and if you got questions about it, you want to chat about it, give me a call. Let's do an impact call. Let's get together and just see, hey, is this something that could be applied to your business? And I can help out with that. So you're always welcome to go to lojomarketing.com/sp-impact. And that will take you right to the scheduling page to set that up. And then we'll just touch on the next workshop that we'll be doing is about the affiliates. And it seems like there's a lot of questions out there about affiliates from small businesses. There's some like if you're a YouTuber or, you know, if you're selling products on Amazon or something, you're like, oh yeah, I know exactly what that is. But for most small businesses, they're like, what is an affiliate program? And we'll talk a little bit about how one of those can be created and administered. So yeah, look forward to it. All right, well, if there's no further questions, then I guess we will sign off for today
Thank you,
and
Stephen.
go from there.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Stephen.
thank you.
And just
All right, thank you, everyone.
oh, sorry. And just as a reminder, if you want to sign up for the next workshops or see what else we have, go ahead and go to lojomarketing.com/small-business-workshops. And I'll leave a link on that here on the chat so that if you're interested in joining, you can sign up there. And also, if you signed up for today's workshop, you will receive an email with the replay if you weren't able to make it. All righty. Thank you, everybody. All right, bye-bye.